Mabuhay, everyone. This is Reverend Reg, and today is January 30, 2022, here in Manila, Philippines. And it's exactly 10:01 a.m. right now. And I'm very excited because I always have my friend to guide us how to navigate every quarter better, and she's always been a guest in my show. I always have her to talk about numerology and astrology and how that actually ties into metaphysics. Especially in metaphysics, we talk about how things come about in our lives as an experience, especially when you dive into the root cause of what's really happening. So, without further ado, let me introduce to you my friend and colleague France Mouton Heady, who's a numerologist and astrologist, astrologer at the same time. All right.
But my
Good
my
morning.
hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, good morning, France from Manila, and good evening to
Morning.
you in New York.
Exactly. For me here, it's 9 o'clock in the evening on the 29th. So we're on a
Uh-huh.
different date, which is interesting. And
Yeah.
so, anyways, we're going to talk about numerology for the first part because I want to talk about the all the things that the year 2022 bring in with the numerology aspect of it. So here's the year 2022. When we add all the digits, it adds up to six. So we're in a 6 year. When we use just a short date of 22, it's a four. Okay. But we're in a 6 year. So what is six? Well, the energy of six is all about operating out of our heart center. I hope I forget about the mic. Operating out of our heart center. Um, I put a little sign here. Maybe it's too small for you to see, but it's a heart with 2022 and WWLD. What would love do? This is how we want to uh, approach anything we're making decisions on this year. Love. We need to operate out of love. Six is all about nurturing, taking responsibility, family, not just blood relatives, but the whole wide world is our big global family, right? So these are the themes that the number six bring in. Four are all that number is all about working on foundational level that we build upon in the future and about being grounded because it's the number for Mother Earth. And so that's the sub theme, I guess we could say. But what these numbers also help us with, the number six, when we look at the alphabet, our sixth letter is F. So I'm going to hold this up, and if people want to take a screenshot, here are words that begin with F, and they are in good alignment for this year. So some of them, fairness, faith, family, favor, fearlessness, fellowship, freedom. Freedom. I don't know how many of you in your part of the world, if you're aware of the Freedom Convoy in Canada. Has that news gotten to you? That
Not yet.
truckers,
Not yet.
no? Oh my. There are over 50,000 trucks right now, as we're speaking, in Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada. They drove from every part of Canada, and some from the United States had crossed the border to be of support because people want freedom. They're tired of the mandates. So a big theme this year is freedom. And look at how it manifested. This all came about like in a week. They just started to work on this, and they're there tonight. They converged this morning is when people were supposed to all try to arrive. And so anyways, that's for the letter F. The fourth letter is D. So here are some more words. Let's see if I can get that there. So if someone wants to take a screenshot, okay, so of course, divinity is one of them. Discovery, devotion, dedication, discernment. These are all good words that we want to keep in mind. And the 22nd letter of the alphabet is V. So here are some V words. Okay. And one of them, of course, is victory. So valor, vastness,
Yeah.
variety, okay, versatility, all these things. So you can look at the list that I compiled of words with those letters because they're in alignment with this year through the numerology. Okay. So the other thing I wanted to talk about is that we each have, this is a 6 year, we call that the universal year, but each one individually, we have our own personal year. So how do we calculate that? I have that in
Yeah.
my ebook. It covers that, but I'm going to do yours and mine just for examples. Okay. So your
Hmm.
birthday, you just had a birthday, right? Is it the
Yeah.
22nd of January?
Yeah. January
Or
22nd,
22nd?
1985. Yeah.
Okay. So 22, this should be a good year for you because, it's 22 and your day is 22. And of
Wow.
course, one of your key numbers is 4. We all have 3 key numbers, and one of them is the day of our birth. So when I said 6 and 4 are, 6 is the number for the year, but 4 is like a kind of like a co-ruler. Okay. So, anyways, what we do to calculate our personal year. So we take for you, we take your day,
Hmm. Yeah.
122 of the year. We add all the digits. That totals 11, which is
Hmm.
a 2. It has to be a 1 digit for the number for the year. But knowing the 2 digit number is very important because all the numbers that reduce to 2 have that 2 vibration. But the 11 is a master number, it's the master psychic number. So this month in particular for you, this year is an 11 year, which brings in a more facility for receiving, the divine guidance. And
Hmm.
um, there's decision making that needs to be done whenever there's a 2, especially with 11. Do I want this or that? And you have to make a decision. And the best way to decide is to go within and connect with your divine guidance. You'll
Yeah.
receive what's needed for you, what's best for you, and then you go right through and bring it into your life. So that's for you. And you're so lucky to be born in January because once you calculate your birth, your own personal year,
Yeah.
it's
Hey.
it's effective from the first of that month, regardless of the, like, you're born on the 22nd, but starting on June, January, okay, January 1st, it was already, that was the start of your new personal year. So you started
Oh.
being an 11-2 year January 1st until December 31st. I'm born in November. So I'm 11-2. So mine adds up to 10, which reduces to 1, but it doesn't start until November 1st. So currently, I'm
Mm.
still in
Yeah.
a 9 year from the last time. Okay. So that's a little tricky. But it's really good to know these things because when we're trying to see, when we know our key numbers, in this case, I know yours is a 4, and I don't know what your other 2 numbers are, but if they're in alignment with what's going, if you're in a year that's in alignment with one of your key numbers, well, then that's good
Hmm.
because for the whole year, you've got that, alignment and so on. And then we can go to find our personal month. What we do is we take our year. So for you, we take the 2 plus 1 for, oops, hold on. Well, okay. So 2 plus 1 for you, you're in a 3 month. Your personal month in January is a 3. In
Hmm.
February, we're going to take 2 plus 2 is going to be in a 4. For me,
Hmm.
I'm in a 9 plus 1.
Hmm.
I'm in a 10 month now, 1. And then in February, I'll be in an 11-2 month. Okay. So
Hmm.
these things are very helpful for us. Because when we know, and we can look at the year and we could say, okay, the overall energy of the year is a 6 for the whole entire world. But for Reverend Reg, the overall for you personally is an 11
Mm-hmm.
too. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you have that energy coming in for you all year. And then you look at each month and you can tell what's going on, which months are going to be good for you to, it's helpful if you want to schedule something. You say, okay, well, what energy do I want to bring in? Okay. If it's something, let's say you want to do something that has to do with um, meditation, something that you
Mm-hmm.
would want to be quiet, you would want to line up, hopefully, with a 7, because 7 is all
Mm-hmm.
about tuning in and whatever. So, knowing the numbers, what the energies of the numbers are, is very helpful. And that's what you do is you figure out, okay, out of this whole year, these 3 months are good for me. Okay, let me see if I can schedule things during those months. And then when during the month, well, then you can tell from the date. So you would take the month, add the digits from the day itself to get now your personal day. So you can schedule things in that way. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah,
Because
to me, because I just realized, in metaphysics, we always say that our prayers are always being answered. But for the prayers to actually be answered, the opportunities that line up or the events that line up, it has to feel like it's unfolding. There's no power struggle or making
yeah,
things happen.
yeah,
And this is the portion of the prayer because, Reverend Friends, I love planning things. It's very similar to feng shui principles
yeah,
where you put one thing after another so that the energy flow is more, it feels more harmonic and balanced. So
exactly. You can go with
what
the
you,
flow. You go
yeah,
with the
and
flow and you line things up with the energies that are in alignment with what's going on
yeah,
instead of fighting them. Okay.
exactly.
Because
And
back to starting, if you're like I
mhm,
was giving the example of starting something that has to do with meditation, if you do something, say with the number three is all about joy and celebration and creation and self creation, self expression, joy and celebration. Well, you're not going to get people to stop. They're all going to be very excited and everything. It's not the right energy for what you want to do. So it'll take you longer to get to. Does that make sense? And if you
yeah,
do,
yeah.
so okay, so that's the numerology of the year. With the especially you look at the number 6 and the letter F. Okay, because those are the things that are really in alignment for this year. So if you're doing something, you're planning, some advertisement or something, well then you want to try to use some of the words that have F or D or V. We have 3 of them that we can use. Okay. So we want to try to use those letters this year because those are good for us to use. They're in harmony for the year 2022.
Amazing. So like faith and devotion or dedication.
Okay. So that's what I wanted to cover for numerology. And then we can start getting into the astrology.
All
And
right.
uh, there are 4 different topics I thought I would cover for the year. It's not for just for the first quarter, but there's first quarter's impact in there, okay? But it's going to carry through the year, so I want to explain that to people. So the first one, currently we're under Mercury retrograde, okay? And normally there's 3 of those every year, calendar year. But this year there's a fourth that starts at the very end. It starts on the 28th or the 29th, I think, of December. So it's technically starts in this year, but it's going to be going into January. But so the first one started on the 14th of January, and it started at 10 degrees of Aquarius. And what's important here to pay attention to is okay, the signs that these retrogrades are in will show us what part of our life is going to be impacted. in this retrograde, besides the usual glitches with technology and things like that. But we always want to say, okay, Aquarius is an air sign. That means it's your thinking and your mindset. Your thinking, Mercury, any retrograde planet gives you an opportunity to go back and revisit and, re you're just looking at things over again. Instead of going forward, you're turning in the energies internalized. So now your thinking is more internalized, which is why we have more glitches, because our mind is not as sharp. It's turned in instead of being looking at what's going on out here. Okay. So a lot of mistakes are made during Mercury retrograde. So you have to, a lot of times you take off to go somewhere, you forget something, you got to come back in the house and get it. A lot of that happens under Mercury retrograde. Our mind is kind of distracted. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So it starts in Aquarius, but it's going to go into Capricorn. So when it goes to Capricorn, it's in an earth sign. And now instead of our mind and thinking, it's going to look again at things that have to do with earth, which is um, the plans, things that we want to try to create, and so on. Okay. So, and what's very interesting is the first three of the four all have this pattern: start in an air sign, retrograde back into a earth sign, and then come back. And again, they're, once they're in forward motion until they pass the degree that it started at, like in this case, 10 Aquarius. So when Mercury goes back direct and goes back, because right now it's in Capricorn, when it goes back into Aquarius again, after it reaches 10, well, now the full effect of the Mercury retrograde will be fully over. Okay, so that's how this is happening. So the first one, as I said, was January 14th. The next one is May 10th, and it starts in 4 degrees of Gemini. And Gemini is all about our communication and how we relate to people and so on. And it's going to go back into Taurus. Taurus is all about our values and our food and uh, things of the earth. Okay. The third one is in September, on the 9th of September. It starts at 8 degrees of Libra, which air sign, but it has to do with our relationships, our close one-to-one relationships are Libra. And it's going to go back into Virgo. And Virgo is an earth sign that has to do, it's with our work and our health and the time of year when we're reaping what has been, it's the end of the growing season, so we're bringing everything in and so on. So those three all have this pattern of starting in air, going into earth, and coming back into air. It's an interesting thing to observe. And so while they're in earth sign, um, as I said, it's going to be for that time. You were saying when things don't work out. My note here for
Mm-hmm.
Earth: plans don't yield what you're after. That's what happens when Mercury's retrograde in an Earth sign. You're planning things, it doesn't work really well. It took us 5 times to finally get so we could be online. So that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
When it's air, when it's in air, it's your mind and your thinking. That's uh, being challenged. But the good thing is, Mercury retrogrades, they only last 3 weeks. And so we just, take a deep breath, because air, especially with the air ones, breathing, just breathe and just let it go and just go on. So that's the first part I wanted to talk about. And then the second part
Hello, everyone. So I'm here right now with Reverend France Mouton Heady, and I'm not really sure what happened. She got disconnected. So we're talking about numerology and astrology. And earlier, I was talking about, when you plan for things, especially in the concept of prayer in metaphysics, because we always say when you intend something, when you pray about a particular intention that you would like to experience in your life, I just want to share that it requires some form of action in you. And that's why numerology and astrology can help you in the process of properly executing what you need to do in order for you to get into the zone where you're able to allow for things to unfold or to bloom and blossom as beautifully as possible without having to stress or strain about a particular incident. So, Reverend Francis is back. Hi there.
All of a sudden, boom, I'm looking at my wallpaper. I'm saying, oh, speaking of Mercury in retrograde, here we go. So now we're going to move on to talking about the second aspect this year, which impacts the United States, but because of impacting the United States, there's ripple effect all through the world, okay? So we just got talking about retrogrades. A return, when a planet returns to where it was when you're born, that like the planet Saturn, which is um, teaches us our big lessons in life, okay? Around where we're 28, 29 years old, we have a Saturn return, okay? Well, that's true for any planet at whatever time, however long it takes for them to return to where they were at your birth. For example, Uranus takes 84 years. So we don't have a Uranus return till we get to be 84 years old. Okay. Well, the United States on February 20th, now that's only 3 weeks away, right? Is going to have its Pluto return. It's going to be the first time that Pluto is where it was in the chart of the United States 248 years ago. Okay,
Whoa.
that's the farthest planet, so that's the longest time to come back. So Pluto is coming back to the return to its own place in the chart of the United States, and Pluto is all about empowerment and transformation. It's in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn so that's going to tell us in what areas of life it's going to be operating. And it's Capricorn is all about institutions, man-made institutions, governments, health, education. Every one of those things is being
Look,
impacted.
I have a
It,
question,
yeah.
Reverend Franz. How about for religious institutions? Are those included religious and spiritual institutions?
Well, no.
Mm,
Sagittarius, which was the last sign that it went through, is religion.
all right.
Spirituality is Pisces. Okay. But Capricorn is the man made institutions that run our life to create um, a lot to do with, trying to get things organized in our life. Not as much the religions, although the
I have
religions
a
help as
question.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, this is very interesting because you talked about Capricorn being very organized. And apparently, I'm very close to someone who's Capricorn in my life, but unfortunately, it's been very difficult for this person to clear clutter and, just living a more reasonable amount of material wealth and the space factor. Why is it difficult? Is it really a Capricorn trait, or is it is it something else?
You have to kind of look at the whole chart, unfortunately, because it's uh, when we say, okay, this person is Capricorn, the sun is in Capricorn, but you don't know what
Yeah.
else is there. Okay. So I give the example I have a sister who is Virgo. Her sun is in Virgo, her moon is in Virgo, Saturn's in Virgo. She has five planets and Mercury and Venus, five positions in Virgo. She is extremely Virgo. Okay. I know somebody else who is Capricorn. It's a woman that I did a chart for who's Capricorn. She has nothing else in Capricorn, just her sun. And then, so her Mercury, which is your communication, is going to be more, I think it was if I remember right, in Sagittarius. So she's very Sagittarian in her way of talking and so on. So It's very hard. You have to look at the whole chart, unfortunately, to be able to say for this person, it's this reason and whatever, because it's the planets in the signs and in the houses in your chart. Those all make a difference. Okay. So, anyways, I can't answer totally, but you're saying this person has a hard time trying to achieve.
Clear clutter, yeah, and get more organized in such a way that the use of the space will become more efficient
Yeah.
and,
So,
and just bring out.
maybe that has to do with the physical, the house in our chart that has to do with our physical home is the fourth house. So we'd look to see what's going on with the fourth house. Is, what's in there? How is it impacting? Um, it's very hard to pinpoint exactly. Here's something else, like the sign Cancer is a very, it's the nickname for Cancer is the crab. Okay, the symbol of a Cancer
Yeah.
is the two claws of a crab. And so on the negative, when they're not at their best, they're crabby. You know what that means to be crabby?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I have a niece who is Cancer and have 5 positions in Cancer. So that made her very Cancer. And when she was a baby, she would wake up from her nap screaming like horrendous cries. Usually babies when they wake up from their nap, they're happy. But she would wake up and she'd be crabby. And so I remember uh, by the time I got to have my own children, my firstborn was due in the sign Cancer. And I was an older mom. I was going to be, I was nearly 40 years old when I had my first child. So I thought, I had this conversation with
Mm-hmm.
God. I said, how could you do this to me? Because I'm thinking of my niece, because that's the baby I knew that was Cancer. They're not all like that, but she was. Okay. And so I had this conversation with God. How can you have me have a Cancer baby? I'm going to be 50 years old by the time I'm raising this kid, right? But my child was nothing like that. Why? Because Jupiter, the planet of joy and expansion, happy-go-lucky, that planet is exactly on her ascendant. Your ascendant is what you're here to express. My child has none of that, and she's Cancer. See, this was a way to teach me astrology. That was great because you can't make absolute categorically say these people are just like this, all of them. It depends, right? And so anyways, we got waylaid, but we're talking about the Pluto return of the United States is going to be on the 20th of February, but then
Mm-hmm.
it's going to go retrograde and then forward again. So it's going to hit the the position that it was at the birth of the United States, which is in 1776, 3 times. February 20th, the 11th of July, and the 28th of December. So, pretty much all year, we're in this very this is a heavy uh, aspect because
Mm-hmm.
Pluto wants to have total reform. It does not want band aids. Okay. It wants to have fully, um, it digs everything up and all the dirt comes to the surface to be healed so that a
Mm-hmm.
new transformed situation happens. Okay. Look what's going on in the world. All of this, a lot of it is kind of, it ties in with this because in the United States right now, we're in a horrible place in our government. Capricorn is government, in our finances, in our education. They're all in the health field. There is stuff that's been buried that is now coming to the surface. Some of it has surfaced. More is going to come up, so that all of that can be It's like the phoenix rising out of the ashes. That's what Pluto is. It's the, rebirth. So we're rebirthing.
numerology and astrology. And she's talking about the Pluto, the planet Pluto.
Return from the
Okay.
United States. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about right now. So it has an impact for worldwide because of foreign affairs and whatnot. So this is a time that we're being uh, given to reflect on the core purpose, because Capricorn is our purpose. Okay, so with this Pluto in Capricorn, we're looking at what is it
Okay.
that we should be.
So we're here right now with Reverend France Mouton Heady, and it's very interesting. We're talking about numerology and astrology, so we can allow for the things that we would like to experience just to unfold. And Reverend France, as you were saying, Pluto is coming back to the United States, and there's going to be a retrograde in Pluto and how it likes to dig up issues. Is there anything else that people need to take note of while it's in retrograde?
Well, what it is we want to focus on a better future. And we're in the age of Aquarius, and everybody needs to be included. Okay, so we want to build a future where everybody has peace and prosperity and all the things that are, make for a good life. We want everybody to have that, not just a few people at the top, everybody. That's the Aquarius aspect. Okay, so this is all happening in the process of doing our
So,
uh,
anyway,
work.
while we're experiencing some technical difficulties, I just want to share with everyone, when we talk about numerology and astrology and how
Oh, now I don't hear you. I'm not sure.
all right.
Okay, so
Okay, so anyway, Reverend France, I just want to ask you a few tips how. All right, I think she's still okay, fantastic. So I think we can just summarize everything because our internet connections are acting up.
yeah, they are. Mercury is not happy tonight. So we want to just all of us should be visual.
All right. So anyway, there's been a bit of technical difficulty. Hello there, Reverend France. Okay.
I guess
So let's
me. So
so I think we just have to wrap up and
okay. So
all right.
all right. Well, let's all of us remember love. We're operating out of our heart center for 2022. Okay.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Reverend France. And if people want to get your books or they want to work with you, where can they find you?
They can just send me a message at France Mouton Heady at gmail.com, and they should put um, maybe they should put Reverend Reg in the subject, so I'll know that it was. I don't open all my emails, so
All right, fantastic.
okay.
So anyway, that's francemoutonheady at gmail.com. And then she said to put Reverend Reg on the subject
Right.
because she doesn't open her emails all the time. So thank you so much, Reverend France. And I'm very excited for the reading that you made for us today. And I'm sure that it ties in very well with all the other metaphysical things that I'm studying as well because people ask me about prayers and how to get them answered or manifesting, but to get prayers answered, it has a lot to do as well with flowing with the changing seasons, and that's why I invited her here today.
So
So thank you so much. And would you like to end us with your be joyful, be well mindset?
that's what it is. Be joyful, be well. Make it a 10 day.
All right, thank you so much, Reverend France, and have
You're welcome.
fun. All right. So thank you everyone for tuning in, especially for those of you who will catch up. And something that I want to share with everyone is You know, when you plan for answered prayers, you also have to consciously participate in making it happen. And a lot of that has to do with understanding order and how you're participating in the manifestation of it. So thank you everyone and have fun.